Hey Bible lovers, I'm Tim Nichols, and I'm here to bring you your Nichols Worth. And today we're going to be talking about my favorite two-column or double-column Bibles in every translation that I have, including a few that are out of print, plus a couple honorable mentions that I thought you'd like to see. But because of the potential length of this video, I am going to go ahead and put the fonts on the captions below the screen on each one of these, because I know some of you are going to want to know the font size. So just be looking for that as I introduce each Bible. We're going to go ahead and start with this one on the top. This is the NRSV personal size large print. This one has the purple goat skin. I actually don't think it's available in this cover anymore, but I do believe that it's still in print. But this has got a nice large print. It's got your textual footnotes in the bottom corner. Just really beautiful layout. Love the speckled edges. Now, there are several factors in my choice of my favorite. Number one, the features that the Bible has itself, to include the cover and beyond. So, that's going to play a factor. You're also going to notice some of them I've had rebound because I like them so much. But this one is really slick. Love the poetic settings here. I love that it's center justified. Gives it that nice, even look all the way up and down. Once you get into the paragraph format, you can see that it is justified on both sides. Just really nice. Check it out. You got the advantage of a beautiful paragraph set up here, and then you have your verse-by-verse poetic settings here. The NRSV is not my favorite translation, especially not the NRSV updated edition, but that is a really nice edition. Now with the BSB, you only have one option. I actually did have this one rebound, but it is the edition they have. That is the Cambria font. Really nice. They have probably the best referencing and footnote system other than the New King James. This and the New King James are really paired perfectly together. This has the notes for the majority text and the Textus Receptus, and of course this is translated from the critical text. Really nice layout. It's not my favorite, but when it comes to the BSB, this is about your only option. You can see the non-poetic settings here along with the poetic settings. Very nice. Center justified. This is right and left justified. Gives you that nice clean look. Beautiful. Now let's move to the RSV, and there is none better than the RSV Sovereign. This one has that double column layout, really nice large font. It's got your footnotes and references on the bottom. I almost didn't include this one because when you get into the poetic settings, it is single column, but I actually like that in a double column format. I wouldn't mind if every double column Bible went ahead and did the poetry in a single column because it looks more musical that way. I just think it's really cool. But really love this. This is a great layout, really great Bible. Love the drop caps, everything about it. Paragraph format. It has red accented verses. Just beautiful. The RSV Sovereign is a good one. In the NIV, it's going to be the NIV Quintel. Now this one is actually the 36 GSM, so they don't print these anymore. They're now available only in 28 GSM. But you're going to see a trend with me when it comes to double column Bibles, and that is I like a large print. I like a paragraph format. I prefer the references and notes on the bottom. One little knock on the Quintel is they do put their footnotes in the corner. I don't like that because it throws the columns off. I like them to be even. I'd like them to go ahead and put them on the bottom. Really what I'd love to see is the Strident format where the references and notes are on the bottom, but they're separated by a line. That's just beautiful, but this is a great layout. I love this 11-point font that the Quintel puts out. Just absolutely gorgeous. Now moving on to the NJV, and of course there's only one option in the NJV, but this is a rather lovely layout. It's got that two-column paragraph format. I love how they handle the divine name in the NJV by leaving it untranslated in the original Hebrew letters. And when you get to the poetic settings, you're going to see that center justification, just absolutely beautiful. To be their only Bible, they did a very good job on this thing. Printed and bound by Royal Youngblood, has beautiful Bible paper, just excellent, excellent, excellent. Now moving on to the ESV. The ESV, the best double column is going to be the ESV Omega. Has that nice large font. The only thing about this one that gets me is that the references and notes are so tiny they're almost useless. That font is so small, and I don't like it in that corner because again it throws your columns off. I wish they just put it all on the bottom. But when it comes to the ESV, this is the best one. Center justified poetry. You're going to see that as a theme for me. Just gorgeous. The Douay-Rheims. TAN, also known as St. Benedict Press. Again, you've got that beautiful two-column setup. Now this one is actually in a verse-by-verse. Some of your older, more traditional translations are often going to be set up in that verse-by-verse format. The one thing I don't like about that is it's very difficult to tell the poetry apart from the prose. I think that typesetting really matters when it comes to poetry, and poetry should look like poetry. So what I think you should do is, if you're going to have it in verse by verse format like this, go ahead and center justify your poetry just to give it that different look. Got some references and notes as well on the bottom, really well laid out. The only knock against this one is the red letter is not the best. It's not the worst, but it's not the best. But this is an excellent Bible. It does seem that this gold will rub off because it's not stamped in very deep, but from a construction, gilding, paper standpoint, line matching, this is excellent. All right, now I'm going to go with the RSV2CE. I'm treating this like a different translation because it is a little bit different. Some of the these and thous in the poetry are removed, so that there is some little bit of differences. Also, this has been approved by the Catholic Church, and this is an absolute glorious layout. Love the large print, love the paragraph format, just absolutely beautiful. And one of the things I like about any Bible is when they start a new book on a new page, instead of trying to cram it in the extra space right here, that just kind of irks me. But this is just so beautifully well done by Catholic Bible Press. And again, you see the poetry looks like poetry. That center justified, it's got some textual footnotes on the bottom. Just really excellent layout. All right, now moving into the NASB 2020. This is going to be the NASB 2020 LPUT thin line. LPUT stands for large print, ultra thin. So the goal is to have the largest print possible in the thinnest spine possible. So that's what this is. Beautiful. One thing I love about this is they got the references in the middle and your notes on the bottom. Really beautifully laid out, beautiful font. Also, if you want to take a quick look at the NASB 1995 large print ultra thin, I love this one. As you can see here, it has some lines in the middle column to kind of just give it that classic look. The only complaint I have about this one is the fact that the references and notes are all in the middle. I'd love to see them separate them out like they did in the NASB 2020. All right, now this was a tough one because I really like the 2-column verse by verse by Steadfast in the LSB. But when it comes to the best, this giant print reference Bible is, number one, it's big. That is a big font, but there are some things about this that really stand out. Number one, the poetry. It is right justified, so that's not my favorite way to handle the poetry, but it's not bad. At least you have that poetic musical look, and I love both sides of the prose paragraph text being justified. Look at those verse numbers. Those are just so nice and bold. The big font, references and notes on the bottom, out of the way. You got those nice even columns. This is just an absolutely gorgeous Bible. And when you get to the New Testament, words of Christ are in black. I almost prefer black letter text, and this is not for theological reasons. This is more for a practical readability reason, because sometimes it is very difficult to get red print consistent. But anyhow, now let's move on to the CSB, and this one is going to be that double column, wide margin, verse by verse. I love this. The only issue that I have with this one is they put those references in the corner, and see how it makes those columns off. That is just something that I would prefer to be on the bottom. But when it comes to a 2-column text in the CSB, you've really got the best of every world here. You've got beautiful poetic settings. You've got wide margins on the side. You have your red accents. You've got plenty of gutter space, just absolutely gorgeous. Then when you get into the prose settings, you can see it looks a little bit different than your poetic settings. But again, with that verse by verse, that's one thing that's difficult to get right. I wish they'd just go ahead and center justify the poetry, but really beautifully done. Black letter text, absolutely gorgeous. The NLT, now I'm telling you what, this was a battle, but I went ahead and went with a personal size giant print, because this just has it all. It has a really large font, subtle verse numbers that doesn't hurt your reading experience. It has the filament enablement so you can get all your study tools. It has limited translation notes on the bottom corner. Again, I wish they wouldn't do that because it throws your columns off, but at least it's small, so it's not as distracting as in some other places. But this is beautiful. And one thing about Tyndale is their red letter, they tend to put a little brown in it that makes it nice and dark, and it seems that they've just got this ability to get their red letter consistent. So again, I'm not opposed to red letter from a theological persuasion, but when it comes to consistency, some have trouble with it. Tyndale doesn't. This is a good one. All right, NET, are you ready? This is the NET large print thin line, and I love this one. Now, the big thing about the NET is the full notes edition that has the full textual footnotes and all the different references to the translator's thoughts. This one just has some limited footnotes. Again, in that corner, I wish they wouldn't do that, but this is the best option when it comes to the NET in 2-column. And again, love poetic settings. I just think that's the way it should be done. Then when you get to your paragraph settings, just beautiful, double justified there. Excellent. All right, we're almost done. We're on the home stretch. And now you know where this is headed with the NKJV. And that is going to be the New King James McLaren large print thin line with the blue accents. The references and notes on the bottom, it would be cool if they went ahead and separated those out by the line, but this is acceptable. Just absolutely gorgeous. And in my mind, the greatest feature in this one is the words of Christ being in that absolutely gorgeous dark blue. Just a beautiful layout, large print. This is the one I preach from, and I have been preaching from this Bible for about 2 years, and I don't ever see myself changing. Love those nice even columns. Love the poetic settings, even though they're kind of right justified, but this is just an absolute gorgeous Bible. Last one, and then a few honorable mentions. Are you ready? The King James. This is a newer release from Thomas Nelson, and this is the large print thin line, references on the bottom, paragraph settings. And with the King James, you often don't get those beautiful poetic settings, but you get that in this edition from Thomas Nelson. And of course, you're going to have your red letters. These red letters are a little bit lighter than I like, but they are not bad, and they're good and consistent. So now, a couple translations that are out of print. Are you ready for this? The Revised Edition. This is not to be confused with the Revised Standard Version. This is the father of the ASV and the only true update of the King James Version. Double column, center column references, notes on the bottom. Absolutely gorgeous layout. This actually belonged to a pretty prominent minister who has some notes through here. Pretty cool little addition. When you get to the New Testament, words of Christ are in black. All right. Another one that's out of print, the HCSB. Love this one because of its format. It has the references at the end of a paragraph and then the textual footnotes on the bottom. Beautiful layout. Whoo-wee! Here we go. The ASV. This is generally called the ASV Long Primer. And I love this because it's got a little bit of margin space. It's got your notes on the outside column and the inside column. References in the middle. Beautiful layout. This one actually includes the Apocrypha. It's a little bit smaller of a print. Big wide margins, but still got your references and notes. Just really cool. 2 honorable mentions. This is the mid-size KJV Windsor from Trinitarian Bible Society. Absolutely love that non-interference 2-column verse-by-verse layout. The poetic settings aren't going to look too much different than the rest of it, but here's what makes this one special. When you get to the back, it's also got the Psalms in meter and in poetic form. Just really love that. Last one, last honorable mention, that is with Humble Lamb and the KJV Lion. They are not just bells and whistles, but they actually make pretty nice Bible layouts as well. One thing that makes this one stand out is not only does it have the full set of references on the bottom, but instead of footnotes, they give you the definition of archaic words where the footnotes would normally go. So, that was a lot in one video. My favorite 2-column Bibles in every translation that I have, plus a couple that are out of print and a couple honorable mentions. Let me know what you think, and let me know your favorites in the comments. God bless you. Keep calm. Jesus on. This is your Nicholsworth.